Tell me a little bit about what it means to you to be representing kind of our neck of the woods in this way with the new leadership position that you have and with all the jobs that everyone has from this district. I mean, it's...
Well, first thing, I think there's some pretty good history, really. You know, Bob Cupp was the #2 guy in the Senate several years ago, of course, when he was in the Senate. And most of the representatives from our neck of the woods, certainly Allen County, have had some kind of leadership position. John Wolomowski was chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I think Ben Rose was the minority whip when he was there. You know, this is without question a state that is dominated by Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. And that's how a lot of the decisions get made. And what often happens is that the rest of the state sort of bands together and says, well, you know, maybe it should be, you know, there's always the issue about the other Ohio. So I guess I further define that, and I think that what I call the flatlands between Dayton and Toledo and somewhere west of Mansfield is a pretty common group of people. You know, it seems like first thing that we think about is high school sports, and then, but you know, we have a great work ethic, and if you look, we just were meeting at Jobs Ohio last week with the new director, and the 3 counties with the lowest unemployment in the state are all, unfortunately not Allen County, but I think it's Mercer, Putnam, and Henry County maybe. So it's you know, I'm proud to be from where I'm from, and it's a great, I think it's kind of indicative of what we have.
But what are your legislative priorities going into the next session here? I mean, and how is that going to be balanced with, you know, how do you balance with what you'd like to see personally versus what you know has to get done? Maybe
yeah. I mean, that's a good question, because as Speaker Pro Tem and actually really as Majority Floor Leader, part of, or a substantial part of that job really is making the legislative process work mechanically. And that doesn't always involve things that I'm deeply involved in. For example, the casino bill last year wasn't my bill and really wasn't my issue, but I got put in charge of the State Government Committee in part to make sure that that bill got passed. And so the mechanics of it are important. Separately, you know, my own legislative priorities. I'm a school choice guy, and I'm going to continue to pursue those issues. We have a particular issue with our hospitals in that the Department of Health has passed some regulations that are preventing them from providing neonatal services at St. Rita's Memorial Hospital. We spent about 6 months duking it out with the Department of Health, and they're not cooperating, and so I'm going to try to put some legislation to deal with that. I've been working with administration in both hospitals to do that, so that's probably something you'll be hearing a lot about. There are, you know, my area of expertise is, you know, I'm a lawyer, so there are going to be a lot of those kinds of maybe not very exciting issues that I'll be dealing with, and every representative should have at least one windmill that they're tilting at, and mine is getting rid of the random insurance verification program, which I will be introducing as a bill for the 4th consecutive General Assembly.
Let's talk about the school choice stuff a little bit. Is that anything? I know the governor is going to be introducing his school funding plans at the beginning of February. Is that, are you working with him on whatever it is he's working on, or is that, I don't know if that's a part of the same conversation?
Well, I mean, the short answer is I don't know what the governor and his staff are working on. I mean, that's stuff that is I think rightly so, been embargoed from members of the General Assembly because, you know, until they know what it is, it's really hard to sit down and talk with them. Obviously, eventually, that will have to get rolled out, and I understand that the budget is going to be coming probably beginning of February sometime. And what is in that regarding school funding or school choice issues, we'll know then. So I'm, they're the executive branch and we're the legislative branch, and I was going to say we don't like to tell each other what to do, but actually we do. But we don't have to listen. So,
Do you want to see this legislation regarding that get molded in as a part of what he would be introducing, or do you think he'll pursue whatever you'd like to do separately?
Yeah, I mean the short answer is I think it's better to have one functioning plan that all is part of the same plan, because a lot of the things that people call me about today is, why do we have to do this? Well, somebody got mad and passed a bill and 10 years ago and nobody remembers why. So it works better and everybody understands why the plan is what it is. And we'll have an opportunity to do that. When the budget comes, the House can add to the budget, the Senate can change it, of course, and all that. So if we get all done June 30th, it will be one plan. To the extent that there is, I think there's been school choice legislation pretty continuously, really you go all the way back to joint vocational schools in the late 60s, then on to open enrollment, charter schools, open enrollment, vouchers, post-secondary enrollment options. So it's really been sort of as most big changes are, an evolutionary process. I think it'll continue to be for a long time, and hopefully in this General Assembly.
Is the internet cafe stuff still your responsibility heading into the next General Assembly?
Yeah, I think so. I think what's going to happen is what really happened is because the General Assembly didn't move for most of the time that we were here, we really just ran out of time. Hopefully, we were hoping, hey, maybe if we can get through the last week, we could get it done. So yeah, I think that will probably be my responsibility, but it also be part of the responsibility to be working directly with the Senate. Not necessarily, obviously, as part of the House process, but understanding what the wishes of the Senate are. I think most people, when they get all done with it, say, yeah, we don't want more gambling operations. And I shouldn't, I'm not speaking for the people, I'm speaking for the legislators, because I've talked to most of them. And that's why, when we put it to a vote, 2/3 of both caucuses voted for it. So, in the House.
And now there's a group that's formed in opposition to it. I don't know if you're familiar with them, or if you give two wits about them.
Well, no, I don't know that it's any different than the folks. It's the same set of folks, but now they have a name. And it's how really any process, especially the process that involves money, works here. Is if you get an association and you hire lobbyists and you get local folks to come down and wear T-shirts and yell in the back of the room, then that's supposed to be more effective, and it usually is. That's why I've tried not to argue with people about how good or bad gambling is, or it's just simply a matter of let's make a decision, because if you're going to decide that you're going to have these, then everybody, including the local bowling alley and the grocery store and the laundromat and everybody else, should be able to participate. Just like in Las Vegas or Nevada, any place you go, you can play Keno, or of course, anywhere you go now, you can play Keno in Ohio, but you can go play a slot machine in the airport as you're leaving and all of that. So I think that's a fundamental decision which needs to be made. Once it's sort of taken down to its fundamental, I think most people say, yeah, that's probably not a very good idea.
How do you think the relationship between the House and the Senate is going to go this year? Obviously, there's lots to do. You all seem to get along pretty well and know each other pretty well. So, I mean, you anticipate there being a good working relationship between the two sides?
I do. I think it's going to. I'm pretty enthusiastic for a couple of reasons. One is, Keith and I are personal friends. His father-in-law, Sam Bassett, was my campaign chair for all of my races. I don't know if you knew that or not, but and so obviously, he's got Allen County roots. He's a practicing lawyer. We've actually referred clients to each other. He's mediated a couple of cases that I've had. So, it helps when there's some other relationship outside of the legislative relationship. That's one thing. The second thing is, Keith is, as an attorney, Speaker Batchelder is an attorney, you learn that you can argue with each other and not like what the other guy is saying, and just like lawyers do, and slap each other on the back and go get a beer afterwards, although Speaker Batchelor doesn't drink, so that part doesn't work. And so, just there's some natural reasons, I think, why the relationship is going to be better than it has been in the past. On top of that, I think there's really been a real effort by Keith and his second in command, Chris Widener, to reach out and talk with House members and House leadership already. We met in Marysville for dinner about a month ago, just the four of us, just in anticipation of, hey, how do we want to do things? How do we want to handle stuff? All of that. There undoubtedly are going to be substantial differences in, between what the House and Senate wants to do, just like there is within what the House wants to do. I mean, and, the job of the House is to pass their version of the bill, and the job of the Senate, which is a different group of people, is to pass their version. So there are always going to be conflicts. It's interesting that the conflicts, the fissures, seem to be more intense when the parties are the same, because they're arguing over more minute details. It's not necessarily a fundamental ideological thing. They say, well, we're just not going to agree on that. But it sometimes gets more intense when it's your own party. So that's going to happen, but based on my previous 6 years, I'm more optimistic about this session than ever before.
The last time I asked you this, you said you don't have a clue. Do you still not have a clue about what you're doing after the next 2 years are up for you?
I really don't. I mean, as I mentioned to you, that kind of gets dictated as circumstances go. Averill and I were just looking at the picture of my first General Assembly up in my office, and I think there's like 12 people out of 99 who are still here or something like that. It might be a few more than that. I think there's only 7 on the Republican side. So, I was going to say that a couple of those guys I was in that house with, Bob Latta and Bob Gibbs, are both in Congress now. Now they'd probably be off. Bob Latta left the Senate is that right? Yeah, he was in the Senate and came to the House, I think. Or maybe the other, maybe Randy Gardner came. I'm not sure. They're both in Bowling Green. But anyway, so, if Paul Gilmore hadn't passed away, Bob Latta would probably be in the General Assembly. Yeah. Same thing with somebody left over there on the east side, and Bob Gibbs ran for Congress. Yeah. So, right now, I'm going to be done in 2 years, and I'll be back in Lima practicing law, and my kids will all be graduated, and I'll be probably writing a monthly column for the Lima News on politics or something. I don't know. But, it's that all gets dictated by the circumstances at the time. I mean, I think it's safe to say that I'm going to do something in elected office or something in government. I mean, I like doing this. It's a great, after 20 years of practicing law, sometimes the stories repeat themselves. It's like I've seen this movie before. So this is a great way, I think, to, a lot of guys my age when they get to be about 50, 55, you won't know that for a long time. It's like, what else could I do besides this. So we'll see.
Are there some certain things that you're just looking forward to being able to do with it, with the title and the weight that comes behind that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's two things that parallel what are the two main functions of a representative. I mean, one is to make policy, and the other is to represent your constituents. You know, Lima and Allen County, it's my hometown, it's very important to me. And I think that if we have a great opportunity, obviously with Senator Faber and myself, more Senator Faber, frankly, as President of the Senate, we have a great opportunity to really do some great things from Lima and for Allen County and West Central Ohio. It's really, as I mentioned, about that group of people, 1.5 million people that live in what Tom Suddy's once called the Twilight Zone of Ohio. And that's okay, he's from Cleveland, he can do that. He just needs to spend more time where we're from. So I mean, that's part of it. The second part of it is that when, you know, Speaker Pro Tem doesn't mean that you get to decide what we vote on. The Speaker does that by and large. I am going to be Chairman of the Rules Committee, which formally does that, but the way that you have an effect on that, I think, is the same way that you would even if I wasn't Speaker, which is, you know, you try to be reasonable in what you say, you try to be civil and rational, and people begin to listen to what you have to say, regardless of what your position is. And, you know, the fact that I'm Speaker Pro Tem means I get to be at meetings where some of those decisions get made. And, you know, back in Lima, I don't know that anybody knows or cares what the Speaker Pro Tem, who the Speaker Pro Tem is. I think the point is that it's a big deal to people in Columbus who the Speaker Pro Tem is. I think back in Lima, with the exception of the 6 people who are coming here to watch me be sworn in, I don't know that it's a big deal. So it does, I think it does make a difference to a lot of people here. But, you know, in the end, you know, you still need 50 votes here and 17 votes in the Senate, and the governor needs to sign it. And so no matter who you are, in that, you're never too big for your own britches.